1, 2, 3. Hi, this is Stephen Seifert. Welcome to an introduction to the chromatic mountain dulcimer. Before we get into the specifics of the chromatic, let's take a look at a traditional diatonic mountain dulcimer. Let's start with the earliest style dulcimer in my collection. This is a Galax style dulcimer. This is built by Don Neuhauser of Indiana. It is a replica of a style of dulcimer common in the Galax, Virginia area about 100 years ago or so. This is a 4-string equidistant dulcimer. They're all tuned to D. Traditionally, in the Galax area, the right hand held a quill. It's a lot like beating eggs with that right hand. The left hand holds a noter. It's just a little piece of wood, and this is what you use to press down the 2 strings closest to you. This is a diatonically fretted instrument. That means we're missing some of the notes that would be normally found on a chromatic instrument like a guitar or a piano. And if you'll look at the fret spaces here, you'll notice we have big spaces and little spaces. That relates directly to whole steps and half steps. So starting from the open string here, we have a whole, whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole. Now that's not a major scale. That is a Mixolydian scale. It's a major scale with a flatted 7th degree. Here's what that sounds like. It's the Mixolydian mode, and a lot of traditional music takes advantage of that sound. But most of your old-timey music is in the major key. Well, to get a major key on this, we start by fretting the 2 strings closest to me with the noter at the 3rd fret. Here's what that sounds like. And that's your G major scale with a D in the drone. It's got a very ancient sound to it. And if you look at the whole steps and the half steps, this is what you end up with starting with 3. We've got whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That's a formula for a major scale, a G major scale. It's nice that some of these notes are not here. That means as I move the noter to the left or to the right, there's notes that I wouldn't want to hit anyway that just don't exist. And that's a real advantage to this diatonic style dulcimer. Let me go back to the key of D, a little bit of old Joe Clark. That's that old Mixolydian sound. Now I'm going to go to the key of G and do a little bit of golden slippers. I want you to listen for when this noter moves from the left to the right and back and forth. Instead of hearing a chromatic scale as I slide, you're going to hear the notes of the G major scale. So a lot of fancy passages that would require multiple fingers for the left hand now can be had with just a piece of wood in the left hand. Here's some golden slippers. Let's take a look at another diatonic dulcimer. This dulcimer was made by Jerry Rockwell of Ohio. It's a replica of another early American design. It's got 3 strings tuned DAA. Take a closer look at these frets. They don't even run the full width of the fingerboard, so we don't have frets under the bass string. Also notice we've got the big little spaces just like before. Well, since our bass string is tuned to a D, if we fret the string closest to us, called the melody string, at the 3rd fret, we can start our D scale there. And I'll do a little grandfather's clock here. Let's take a look at one more diatonic. This is a modern style mountain dulcimer made by Mixolydian of Mountain View, Arkansas. It's pretty typical of what you'd see if you went to festivals or if you get on the internet and start looking around. This is the most common style dulcimer you'll see these days. If you look real close, the strings, it's a 4-string. The melody string is doubled like a mandolin. And we've got a new tuning, DAD, starting on the bass string. It's diatonically fretted for the most part, but we've got an extra note in there. If you'll look, we've got whole, whole, half, whole, whole, and then we've got an extra fret in here. We've got the 6th fret, the 6.5, and the 7. It's that 6.5 that is a new addition here. So you can get the D Mixolydian Scale, or if we use that 6.5 fret instead of the 6, you get the D major scale. If you want to play in different keys, and if you want to get notes that aren't here, you have to use alternate tunings. Sometimes I'll bend to get a note that isn't there. That kind of thing. We use capos, and it's like a little C clamp. So now I'm in the key of D. If I put a capo on the 3rd fret, you're in the key of G. That extra fret actually makes capoing go a lot farther. You can get a lot more notes and a lot more keys.